Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. This is the Astro Decode on the Maison Jupiter channel. And we are also simulcasting on Beyond Mystic YouTube channel and Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. So hello to everybody watching from all over the world. I'm Julie from Maison Jupiter. And of course, I'm here with my amazing co-host, Meg. Hey, Meg, how are you?
I'm good. I didn't know we were on Rumble. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a new addition. That's a new,
Yeah.
yeah, this is very new. So we're trying to expand as much as we can the astrology knowledge. So very excited about that.
Awesome.
Um, I love your look today. Are you cold in Belgium or how's the weather?
It's not that cold. Yeah, I'm in like a little bit of a wintry look. It's not that cold, but I was feeling like being comfy, cozy today with my
Yeah,
big
me too.
sweater.
It's
Yeah.
raining over here, so I'm kind of in the same mood today. I'm just like,
Mhm.
ooh. Okay, so today's subject, and hello, lots of love from Sweden. Love it. Let us know where you're watching. I always love to see. And Dawn is in Vancouver. We have Georgia, USA. Love and Light from California. Uh, and oh, thank you so much. Vicky saying, I'm excited to watch this as I just started the astrology course. Yes, so exciting. Thank you, Vicky. Yes, and we'll have our first live coming in just 2 days from now on Friday. So can't wait for that. Are you excited about that as well, Meg?
I'm super, super excited. And everyone else who's going to be joining is really, really excited too. I've been hearing from some of the clients and people online on social media. We're very excited to be starting the astrology course live.
Yay. And also, I know Sophie's going to be watching, also Meg. Obviously, Meg, you're going to be watching and also teaching. Elena and Miley,
Cool.
also one of our producers. So
Wow.
very excited. Erica's from Austria. We have Greece in the house. Alberta and raining, yes, like over here in Quebec, Washington State, UK, Louisiana. Wow, this is amazing. And
International.
yeah, Newfoundland. Hello to everybody watching. And it's 3 a.m. in Western Australia. Thank you, Sam, for watching. I know it's late. We appreciate it. And Joan is saying, I love the course so far. So, well, thank you so much, Joan. Okay, so today's topic will be your trilogy. So your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. So that's what we're going to touch on today. Um, for people knowing about astrology, I feel like it's kind of a, let's say, basic subject, but at the same time, well, we always say like simple astrology is the best astrology. So I think there's a lot to decode in there. Like, what do you think about the choice of subject, Meg? And what do you have to say on how important the trilogy is in astrology?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's really easy, especially with astrology, because there's so many never-ending layers to it. Like you could study astrology every minute that you're awake every single day and still learn something new the next day and the next day. There's just so many layers to it. But like you said, some of those most basic parts, like the trilogy, the sun, moon, rising, it can be really easy to overlook them and to try to find things a little bit more complex to get the answers. But it's like sometimes it's just because of your sun or your moon or your rising.
Yeah.
So it's really important to be aware of the ins and outs of those positions and how they're kind of working with each other as well.
And how would you say, in your own words, and I know this is kind of a complicated question, but how would you say they interact together? Because to have some background on that question, I know a lot of people, when they mention astrology, they're like, oh, I'm a Virgo or I'm a Leo. So they think that sun sign astrology is everything that there is. And when we talk about, let's say, pop astrology, that's been very famous, let's say newspaper, magazines, and when you look at your zodiac predictions with your sign, people think they discard astrology because they think that's all there is. So, and what would you say to those people who think like astrology is just a bunch of BS based on pop astrology? And what would you add with the trilogy?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a double-edged sword because ever since the beginning of the 1900s, when Pluto got consciously discovered and that pop astrology kind of came to the forefront, and the sun sign-based horoscopes really came to the forefront in the early 1900s, it's easy to just kind of brush it off like, oh, it's not real because not everybody born, for Libra season that we're in right now is exactly the same, which is true. That's why we actually have that whole birth chart to look at,
Right.
to decode. But I do think the sun, moon, rising is very, very important. And it's interesting that in ancient astrology, the rising actually carried more weight than your sun sign. It was more personalized to you because the rising changes every couple hours, whereas the sun sign changes every, month cycle.
Right.
So,
And it's funny that you mentioned that. Sorry to cut you off, but I just read something in an astrology book, and the author said that back in the days those days that you were just talking about, when they
yeah.
said, "What's your sign?" they would used to say their rising sign instead of their sun sign, because they would consider this to be more personalized and important. So, yeah,
Mhm.
just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny because as we're going to talk about as we go through the positions of the sun, moon, rising, with the rising, I really feel like that's something that, and I'm interested to see how you feel about this, Julie, because I see it with myself and everyone around me. The rising is something we grow into as we age. Whereas the sun and the moon, I feel like we're always that sun and that moon, but the rising is something we kind of like step into more. Not that we're not our rising from birth, but we grow into it more. We mature into it more as we get older. Have you
Hmm,
noticed?
that's interesting. I've heard that before. And I've also heard the same for the sun sign. So a lot of
Mm,
people say either the opposite, that what you just mentioned, that you develop more your rising sign as you get older. But I'm seeing and observing a lot of people around me that are developing more their sun sign. So this
interesting.
is interesting. Maybe it depends on like a lot of other factors in your birth chart. Uh,
Yeah.
let's say you don't have a lot of water, but you have your sun is in a water sign, so maybe it takes a bit longer to develop. I don't know. I'm just seeing a lot of people that have, let's say, some interesting qualities of their sun sign that they don't have like from the get-go, and they have to develop. But that makes sense also what you're saying about the rising sign. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So would you say for you that you step more into your Taurus energy later on?
Definitely, I noticed when I had my first Saturn return was when I really started acting more like a Taurus. Maybe that's what it was. I
Mhm.
always heard my whole life people would guess, like, are you a Taurus or a Scorpio? Because I'm a Scorpio with a Taurus rising. Um, but sorry, I just had a brain fart. What was I about to say? Like, I've always looked like a Taurus a little bit, and that's the energy people feel from me. But acting like a Taurus was not something I really started to feel like until my first Saturn return. So really
Mm,
valuing money and abundance and the value of things. I didn't really feel that before my first Saturn return. I didn't really care, to be honest. But now
that's
I'm like
interesting.
really, yeah, but I really care about organic food now and like the quality of things. Not that I need, everything to be designer or something like that or materialistic, but, valuing the quality. That's Taurus, right?
Right.
So that was something I really noticed, and noticing wanting to be more in nature as well. Like around my Saturn return, moved into the countryside and really valued that nature connection. So all those Taurus things, I definitely felt a shift with that around my first Saturn return, being more into that and not just the Scorpio, Moon, and Capricorn, which I've always felt like I really am.
That's interesting. And let us know in the chat. I'm very curious to know, what do you think was more natural for you? Was it your sun sign or was it your rising sign? Like, let's say in the first 30 years of your life, did you
Mm,
more express your rising sign or your sun sign? Let us know. Very curious about that, because I'm a Leo rising, but I've always been a dancer since I was 3 years
right.
old. So I've always been expressing this expressive artistic side, and I liked that kind of, let's say, attention. Not all the time, because I'm a Virgo sun, so sometimes I like to be in my own little bubble. But I kind of always had this Leo rising being expressed. And I know that Nicolas Stoyanovich said that usually your rising sign is the things that you will do first in life. So you will go naturally towards that expression. But maybe, so cute. But maybe because also you have an opposition, right, with your rising sign and your sun sign. So for you, it's like a constant push and pull of energies. So what are people saying?
Someone's saying, as a Lorian, I hope I'm saying your name right, Lorian, as a triple Virgo, not sure how to answer that. Triple Virgo.
Wow, Lorian, that's intense.
Wow.
So you're probably very Virgoing from the start. So it's something that you're gonna be imprinted very deep in you throughout your whole incarnation, because you have the big three in the sign of Virgo. So probably very analytical, very probably routine, intellectual. You like to categorize things, you like cleanliness, like all the stereotype of Virgo. I'm pretty sure that it might make sense for you. And probably organize other people as well. So usually Virgos are really good at helping other people. It's the sign of being in service. So that makes sense. Okay. And I see Inner Mystic is saying, for sure, my Aries sun the first 30 years. Okay. So she was more expressing her sun in the first part. And did you want to mention something?
I just wanted to say too, with your rising sign, Julie, do you think it makes a difference that you're a 29-degree Leo, which is a Leo degree, and that's a double Leo on your rising? So do you think you maybe would have been more naturally fully expressive in that than someone else? Like for me, my Taurus rising is at a Scorpio degree.
Yes, it does make a lot of sense. Yeah. Right. I kind of forget that I'm a double Leo, right? Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, like that because you're a Scorpio degree, but you have a Scorpio sun, then you express a lot of the Scorpio naturally.
Right.
Okay. I'm a Leo sun with Gemini rising. Definitely had more Gemini qualities the first 30 years of my life. Okay, so developing more of the Leo sun qualities. Oh, that's interesting. I love knowing about that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, one last one here. First 30 years Capricorn sun, and last 20 years developed into Virgo rising. Okay, so the sun was coming first, and okay, so I'd say it's kind of a mixed bag of people. It probably depends on the rest of the chart, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Do you feel like the sun and the rising are equally important? I know different astrologers feel like different things. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like one of the trilogy is the most important, or do you feel like they all have their importance in different ways?
Well, I would say like in the daily life, I would say they're probably as important as like the rising and the sun. I would say they are as equally important in my opinion. But let's say if you're looking at more, let's say, life mission and big questions in life and what you're here to develop, I would say like the sun sign has priority over the rest.
Yeah.
What would be your opinion?
I totally agree with that. Definitely.
Okay, I have a question for you, Meg. So,
Yes.
okay, we just talked about the sun sign, what it represents a little bit. Now about the rising sign, because you said before we just went into recording, it is very important, and sometimes a lot of people kind of bypass the importance of the rising sign.
Yeah.
Also, when you look at astrology predictions, let's say in a newspaper, magazine, or the shows that we do, like the Astro Woo, and we go through the 12 zodiac signs, usually those predictions are based on the rising sign and not the sun sign. So that's another thing to take into consideration. So how would you explain how important the rising sign is?
So the rising sign, as we were talking about before we went live, is one of those things in astrology that we talk about, and it's very trendy. The rising, we talk about that. We also use the word ascendant. So ascendant and rising mean the same thing. They're just two different words. The truth is, not everybody actually knows what the heck the rising is, which is funny. The sun and the moon are the actual Western signs that those heavenly physical bodies were in at the moment we were born. The rising is not a planet. It's not an asteroid. It's the part of the birth chart that represents the most eastern point of the horizon when we were born, which is the sunrise position in the sky. So that's what our rising sign is, the sign and degree that was at the most eastern point of the horizon, which if that's where the sun rises, then it symbolically represents how we show up to the world, how we rise, what we're here to grow into and step into, how we physically look. It's like how everything in astrology is based off of what's physically actually practically going on. So the sunrise, that action is what our rising sign represents to us. So it's also like gifts we have to share with the world. For me, a sunrise is very hopeful and a blessing, that blessed part of the day where a new day starts. It's like a blessing. So I think it can represent the rising, showing blessings that we have to share, not just how we physically look and the energy we're giving off to people when they first see us. So that's what it's practically about, which is really helpful because that can help us to understand the meaning of it more for ourselves personally.
I love that answer. And also, I would add to that also the first house determines your appearance, overall appearance. So, yes, it's how people perceive your energy, but also how you physically appear to other people. So, often your rising sign can tell us some information about your look. For example, and also it gives you the ruler of your chart, which is kind of very important also in astrology. So usually people that have Venus as a ruler of their chart, like you, Meg, are very great looking people. So if you have a Taurus rising or a Libra rising, usually you are very good looking because Venus is your ruler. So that's something to also look at. And for example, is Mars is your ruler of your chart. If you're a Aries rising or a Scorpio rising, then you might be a little more feisty in your appearance or muscular because Mars rules the muscles as well. So very active, probably.
That's true.
I prepared a little slide for the rising sign and for each of the three. So let's look at that and let us know also if that resonates with you. So I didn't want to go through all the 12 for each, but I classified them into the 4 elements. So depending on if your rising sign is a fire sign, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or earth or air or a water sign, then you're going to have some generalities about how people perceive you, your appearance, and your overall energy, which is your rising sign. And yes, if you don't know your rising sign yet, you will need to have your birth chart done. So you can do that, of course, on Maison Jupiter, but also there are also a whole bunch of free websites when you can look at that on the web. So you're going to need your time of birth because, as Meg, you said earlier, it changes every 2 hours or so. So if you're unsure about your time of birth, if you don't know at all anything about your time of birth, but you just know the date of birth, then the rising sign will be impossible to know. But if you have somewhat of a close idea, then you can look up on the web and see also if that makes sense with your appearance and the way you come across to other people. So if your rising sign is a fire sign, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius rising, then you have some energetic quality about you. You probably are a more extroverted person rather than introspective. More active because fire signs is like sports. You probably are more active than passive, and it's a masculine element. Those are masculine signs. So fire and air are masculine signs, and earth, water are feminine signs. So if you have a rising masculine sign, so fire or air, it means that you are more active. You're more of a go-getter. generally speaking. It can also be attributed to your sun and moon. And if you are an earth or water rising sign, then you're more receptive. So you might have like people come to you instead of you being more of a go-getter. Fire sign, we're saying extroverted, active, competitive, which is also quality of Aries, but you can also be competitive if you're Leo or a Sagittarius rising, and you have an uplifting quality about your energy that people see at first. And then if your rising sign is in an earth sign, so Taurus rising, Virgo rising, Capricorn rising, then you're in earth sign. So you're more determined, ambitious in life, generally speaking, grounded. So that's good because it's the energy of the earth. So it means that you're well prepared to live on earth, and you probably have more of a good idea of what your body needs and what you have to do to make it work on this paradigm, and more down to earth, which I think is a good quality. Also, if your rising sign is an air sign, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, then it means that you probably are very curious. Air signs are all about connecting with other people, connecting with information. You might also be talkative. Usually, air signs really like to talk. You have this restless quality, like you're always on the go, on the move, probably very busy, and friendly quality about you because you like to connect with other people. And finally, if your rising sign is a water sign, then that means you are either Cancer rising, Scorpio rising, or Pisces rising. Then it's more in the emotional and intuitive realm. So you might be very emotional, perceptual. So you might really gauge people really well. So you might really see things in other people clearly because you're very sensitive, you're very intuitive. So reads people well, and also nurturing quality about the water elements. So let us know if that resonates. Akire says, spot on. I am Libra rising. Oh my God, too cool. Okay, I love that. Okay, good question here from Karen. And let me know, Meg, if you see some questions you'd like to answer too.
Okay.
So Karen is saying, how can my twins be so different in personality, born 3 minutes apart? Okay, so that's a good question. And Elena also has twins, and I kind of like to observe how they act, how they talk. And I have another friend also who had twins. So my answer would be that, as we said yesterday, I feel like there are a lot of, let's say, twin flames or kind of souls that are really close that separate and decide to incarnate as twins. And so usually, even if they have the exact same birth chart, they will have very different ways of expressing one sign or one archetype. So they will be very, very different. So let's say, like a random example, if they are Virgo sun, both of them, like one might be super interested in health and the other one might be a workaholic, which are two like important themes of the Virgo archetype, but they might express them in a total different fashion. And the other thing that I noticed about twins is that the rising sign will most likely be the same, but they will be at different degrees. So, for example, Elena's twins, they are Aries rising, so very active. And one of them is at the 3rd degree, so it's a Gemini degree, and the other one is at a Scorpio degree, 8th degree. So it makes all the difference in the world. So one is super curious, likes to talk. The other one is like kind of looking at you, observing you, and analyzing you like a very Scorpionic manner. So I find that to be like the degree in twins is going to make a huge difference for the ascendant. Did you see some interesting questions before we go to the sun sign?
Let me see on Rumble what we've got here. Yeah, people on Rumble, and I'll just bring up the Rumble chat because we are on YouTube and Rumble right now, sharing their sun moon risings as well. I think I saw an interesting comment. What was it here? Oops. I'm in my 8th decade, and it's only recently that people believe I'm a Leo. I've had to grow into it past Virgo moon, Virgo Venus conjunct Saturn. I have Sag rising, and I'm seen more that way by Sedona Muse 17.
Wow.
So I think it's so interesting how everyone has a completely unique journey and expression astrologically, because everybody's chart is totally unique. I think it's, Julie, what, like 32,000 years it takes for each of our charts to be repeated.
Wow.
So even in the case of a twin, like you were saying, Julie, the degrees are so important in astrology, and twins don't have the same degrees, right? Unless they're born like pop, pop, like two right after each other.
I don't know if that's possible.
Which, yeah, I don't think that's possible. So yeah, it's interesting how we all have totally different journeys and totally unique charts. And even if somebody, was born at the same time as you, but on the different part of the earth, because there's babies being born all the time, you're going to have different charts because it changes based on where you physically are, the
Yeah.
health positions and everything. So we're all really, really unique. And I think that's really magical.
Yeah, very good point. And yeah, like as you said, let's say if let's say 20 babies are born today, depending on where they are on Earth and the time that they're born, those planets and sign will shift differently for them, and their rising sign will be different. So it's going to make, like you said, like a huge difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about the sun sign a little bit. So we spoke about the rising sign. So what about the sun sign? Like, what do you consider it rules? And also another question I have for you: do you think it's easy to guess people's sun sign generally, or do you guess the rising sign when you look at them and you don't really know them?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Sometimes I can guess people's rising sun signs. Then other times I'm guessing their rising sign, thinking it's their sun sign. So it's a little bit confusing sometimes. But I feel like it's easy to guess people's sun or rising. Like it's easy to look at someone if you're really into astrology and go, okay, they're definitely like an Earth sun or rising. They're definitely like there's some Virgo going on there. There's just like when you're into astrology, you can feel what the vibe kind of is. And also, all the signs have different look characteristics as well. So it's learning about that. So I'm sure we're going to talk about that in our astrology foundations course as
Yeah,
well.
for
But
sure. But
yeah.
like physically, let's say, what example could you give for, let's say, a physical feature?
So I'll give an example. So in the summer when I was in Memphis, I was at a restaurant with some friends, and our waiter was this really sweet guy who had very dreamy, watery eyes. And I know that that's a Pisces trait. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising look very magical, and they usually have very beautiful, magical, dreamy, kind of like watery eyes. Sometimes they even look like mermaid eyes, or, the ocean. You can like see the ocean in their eyes. And this waiter in Memphis, I looked at him and I freaked him out because I said, "Are you a Pisces?" I said, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" And then I looked at his whole chart and I was talking to him about the astrology. But the Pisces, I find very easy to see if someone's got Pisces because of those dreamy eyes.
Like a similar situation happened to me at the restaurant. The waiter was talking to Elena and I quite a lot. And I said, "Are you an Aquarius?" And he's like, "Yeah, how did you know?" But
Oh my
like
God.
he had a tattoo on his neck of like the little wave that's like the symbol of Aquarius. So I couldn't take any credit for that. So I was like, "Oh, I just saw your tattoo." But he did look at like an Aquarius. Like sometimes they are oh nice.
Yeah, this is something cool I've seen before, showing like the different shape of the eyes in
Hmm,
astrology. So like
interesting.
mine, that makes sense because it's like Scorpios like to darken their eyes usually, do a little bit of a darker look, or our eyes can look a little bit darker or more mysterious. And then there's the Pisces, the really beautiful, kind of dreamy,
Yeah.
blue, watery kind of eyes. Yeah, the fire signs have more like fiery energy going on in their eyes.
Huh.
Leo, Sagittarius. I find the eyes are really can really show you like people's signs. Can help
Huh.
you with people's signs.
Okay, I'll try to get into that. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is
I
there
love
anything for you? Like, is there a kind of sign for you that you can always tell if someone's got that influence? It's like easy for you to spot.
Recently, I learned that Sagittarius, according to Nicolas Stoyanovich, is the sign of models and fashion, which I didn't know before because a
Hmm.
lot of astrologers don't associate them together. So now that I see like people with really long legs that look like models, they are all Sagittarius rising.
Oh my
So
gosh.
now I can spot that pretty easily, which is interesting.
That's
Uh,
funny.
yeah, and usually, if people has, let's say, an Aquarius rising or a Gemini rising, sometimes they are like very balanced in their masculine and feminine energy. So sometimes you don't really know, like, are they gay? Are they straight? So, but not all the time, obviously. But sometimes that's kind of an Aquarius trait to be like kind of very balanced in the energies that you give off.
Hmm.
Okay. Oh yeah, Stephanie's saying Leos usually have big curly hair. Yes, Leo's is all about the hair. If you have Leo rising, usually I have and I have curly hair. It's just that I'm cheating a little bit, but because it's too much for me, I can handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true, Stephanie. Very good point. Okay,
Cool.
so we talked about the sun. And now let's look at, oh, did you want to bring up
Oops,
a comment?
I didn't mean to share. I'm just trying to bring the screen up, but not share it.
Okay, it's fine. I'll talk about the sun
Okay.
sign.
Sorry.
So your sun sign, okay. Well, personally, I'm really bad at guessing people's sun sign.
Mm,
Sometimes I can, but most of the times I'm guessing the rising sign because it's what you give off as your energy. And
yeah.
for me, I find that usually the sun sign is something that you will guess if you know someone really well. And if you know what they're all about, their values, what they're striving for, then you're going to get their sun. So the sun is kind of your identity in this lifetime. And according to a lot of astrologers, it will change from lifetime to lifetime because you're going to do the whole zodiac to have like a really good scope of different life experiences. So it's really in this lifetime what your identity is about. And also, it's part of your life mission. Your sun, your north node, and your midheaven is kind of what you have to do in this life. And
Mm,
also your sun sign can be your natural talent, so what you're good at naturally. So it rules like natural creativity and also natural talents. So if you have your sun and fire signs, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, then not all the time, but most times they have a stronger personality. They are more outgoing, more straightforward. Yes, fire signs are like really, they tell you like it is. They don't want to beat around the bush. And it's also usually a passionate indicator. So people are very passionate about and
mm,
fiery because it's the fire, right? And also, if your sun is in an earth sign, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, then it means you're probably hardworking, more on the responsible side of things, realistic, reliable, pragmatic. And also, usually those people are good at managing resources or they learn to be good at it later in life, depending on how you're going to express this archetype. But Taurus is all about material security, Virgo is all about coordinating thing, being organized, and Capricorn is all about striving to be ambitious and career oriented.
mm,
And then your sun sign, if it's in an air sign, then Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, that means you're probably very sociable, relationship oriented, love learning. Generally, those people are very curious, and you most likely are very busy and thinking a lot because it's the mental realm, the air signs. And then lastly, if your sun is in a water sign, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, then you're more on the intuitive side of things, more nurturing, more introverted, but not always, depending on the rest of the chart, but that can be an indicator. It's the healers, it's the artists, it's the mystics. So let us know if that makes sense with you. Okay, I'd like to look at some examples from you guys in the chat. So let us know if you would like us to look at your trilogy, so your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign. And maybe we should talk about the moon sign before we do that. What do you think?
Yeah, good
Okay.
idea.
Okay, but let us know in the chat, and I'll try to star some comments, and we'll get back to you guys with your trilogy. Okay, so moon, what do you think about the moon sign? What do you think? How do you think it's important in our day-to-day life? What do you think it rules? Let me know, Meg, what do you think about the moon sign?
Yeah, so the moon sign is interesting because it's like our inner self. The moon is very, very mysterious. We don't really know what's really going on with the moon at the moment. It's going to be revealed to us, I think, during this age of Aquarius time. It's very mysterious. It's hidden. The moon represents our emotional self, our emotional needs, our hidden self, our private self, and private desires and, you know, things that we want in life. And the moon can also represent the energy of our mother, which is very interesting, or our maternal kind of line as well. And the moon can also represent past lives, as well as the South Node, the energy of some of the recent past lives as well. So those are some of the main things that I notice with the moon. And I do think it's a very important position because it's more hidden. And I feel like we know it about ourselves really well, but not necessarily everyone around us will know that about ourselves. Would you say you agree, Julie?
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's something that really shows itself when you're in a relationship, because then it gets really intimate and the people know like what are your let's say inner desires, what is your emotional security coming from, or the people that you consider your family. So it can be family members, of course, but also your friends that are really close to you. So I feel like they are the people who will understand your moon sign and your emotional needs. And if you're like more like acquaintances, then I don't think it's really possible to see the moon sign in them, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Oh, okay. We'll look at that. Gretchen is saying, I would love for you guys to look at double Scorpios. So I guess we're talking here about rising and sun. What do you think about double Scorpios, Meg?
Intense. That is super intense. The people that I know that are double Scorpios, either in their sun or their rising, or their sun and their moon, because it's intense enough to have one thing in Scorpio, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, since you're rising, so I'm guessing that you see through people, you see through BS, you really can read people really well. So usually that's the Scorpio rising. And then the Scorpio sun, meaning you also have those really intense experiences in your own life. So not only being able to read people, but you kind of go through the ringer yourself, being a Scorpio sun usually. And usually it makes like a really good being a therapist or being some kind of helper psychologist. So usually a lot of people are going to be drawn to you to what do you say, to tell you all about their life, their obstacles, their challenges. So usually those people are kind of the therapists of the group. Let us know if that makes sense, Gretchen. Okay, so moon sign, yes, it's an interesting one. And I feel like, especially when you're dealing with a relationship or romantic relationship, you want to look at if the moon signs are compatible. So your moon sign is your emotional needs, your psychic gifts, also we forgot to say, and also your inner desires and feelings, and a lot more, but we'll just focus on that for now. And so if your moon is in a fire sign, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, loves attention. So I can testify. I'm a Sagittarius moon. So yes. Also loves adventure, passion, change, uplifting energy. So usually fire moons, let's say if you're going through a hard time, this is kind of when your moon sign will take the lead. So you're gonna do something that that's related to your moon to make you feel better. So if you're a moon and a fire sign, then you want to do something like that's more action related. So you're gonna want to travel, try something new, do sports. You're gonna try to stay active in order for you to feel better. If your moon is in an earth sign, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, then you're probably very oriented towards work, and also feeling useful or needed is usually very important for them. Having a sense of stability, routine is also very important for a moon in an earth sign. Sophie has a moon in Taurus, and she really loves to know what's going on. She likes to know what's going on in a week from now. She loves the routine, and she loves to predictability makes her feel very safe. So if you have a moon in earth sign, so you probably can relate to that. And you have a moon in Capricorn, don't you, Meg?
Do. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense to me for sure. The emotional need for stability and security. And Capricorn is, I think, the moon's detriment position. So yeah, it can be challenging in the sense that, you know, the moon doesn't really love to be in Capricorn. So not that it's negative to be in a moon in Capricorn, but we can be really hard on ourselves emotionally when you're a moon in Capricorn, because that's the sign that rules success and achievement and being of value to society in a really important way. So I feel like Capricorn can be probably the most challenging earth sign moon to be. Taurus is, of course, exalted in the moon. So that's a really good moon sign to have.
Right. And I know a lot of people who have moon in earth signs, and if they go through a tough time in life, they usually work and they feel better after. So that's kind of funny. If you have a moon in an air sign, though, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, then it means that you need probably intellectual stimulation, a lot of social interaction, new things, communication. Coco, which is a producer for Beyond Mystic and Maison Jupiter, she has a moon in Aquarius, and she loves talking to her friends on the phone if she has a tough time or a hard time. So that makes a lot of sense that you need those social connection and that communication if you have a moon in an air sign. And lastly, if you have a moon in a water sign, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, so you will probably need some alone time from time to time to really recharge because you're so empathic to other people. So the moon is watery in nature. And plus, when it's in a water sign, so it's like double the water, double the psychic gifts, double the empathy for everybody, and the lack of boundaries sometimes also. So, and also they are always or almost always, let's say, directed towards caretaking for other people. It's really good for them also to be in the element of water if you're going through a tough time, if you want to, let's say, purge all the bad energies you have absorbed during a day or during like a tough experience. So being in actual water is really, really helpful, and also have a spiritual or artistic expression to yourself is usually very good with a moon and a water sign. Okay, thank you, Libby. She says, loving this so much, Megan, Julie, decoding and articulating our reality in ways we all can understand. Bravo. Thank you so much, Libby. Appreciate that. Wow. Okay, did you spot some trilogy you'd like to talk about or some questions, Meg?
Yeah, we've got a super chat from Maggie. Thank you so much, Maggie. And she says, hi, beautiful ladies. I am a Leo with rising sun in Cancer, moon in Gemini, sending you love and light. So, okay, wait, is she a Leo or a Cancer? She's
I
a
think
Leo.
she's a Leo sun and rising sign in Cancer. This is
Right.
what I'm getting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sending you love and light. So, you know, Leo sun is where the sun is in its home sign. So it's kind of, I don't want to say the best sign to be. Maybe it is the best sign to be. Which
I'm sure Leo people will tell you it's the best sign.
Leos will tell you it's the best sign. I'll put very good sun sign to be. It's where the sun loves to
Very
be
comfortable.
the most. Yeah, very comfortable, because Leo season is when the sun is at its height of power in the middle of the summer. So Leos are naturally a really good sun sign to be. And that's nice that you have the rising in Cancer, Maggie, because that's a nice kind of balance to your Leo sun, can make you very nurturing towards others, self-aware of others as well, having a Cancer rising and moon in Gemini. So you've got those Leo gifts of confidence and creativity, probably, and passion for life. But you're also able to not just be in that yourself and wanting to shine that just all about you, that Leo-ness, but also care about others as well with that Cancer rising. So that's beautiful. I love Leos. I love Leo energy. I think it's really, really important during this time. All of the fire signs, actually, but Leo's in particular, because it's ruled by the sun, and all of the outer planets are in either earth signs or water signs. None are in a fire sign until 2025. So for the fire signs, that can feel kind of like weird a little bit right now for all of us, because the fire signs are love, joy, expression, energy, having fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fire signs, we need you guys to keep us on fire and in the light.
I love that. And thank you, Maggie. And also thank you, Len Halterman, for your donation. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's funny. I saw Stephanie's comment. Leos are awesome. Yes,
Mhm.
they are. But
Yeah.
as you said, Meg, it's good if you have some form of balance in your chart, so you're not too
Yeah.
self focused. So you're also focused on other people's needs. With the example that we just had with the Cancer rising, that's a really good balance there.
Mhm.
Okay, let's look at another one. And thank you so much, Carleen Harris. Appreciate your donation. Thank you so much. Okay, so Tim is an Aquarius sun, a Taurus moon, and a Libra rising. What do you think about that, Meg?
I think that's a really cool mix, because I love Aquariuses personally. They're, to me, like people from the future. They're like futuristic,
Right.
Aquarian way showers of the age of Aquarius. They're very much, I always like to say, 100 years or sometimes even more ahead than all the rest of us. So there's a challenge to being an Aquarius, which is interesting because the sun is in its fall position in Aquarius, because it's the season in the middle, the dead of winter. So the sun, it's not its most favorite place to be, but it doesn't mean it's negative. It means there's a challenge there. And I think the challenge of being an Aquarius is because they're so naturally smart, futuristic, and humanitarian, that it can take a while for all the rest of us to kind of catch up to you guys. That's a big challenge that I notice with Aquariuses. But it's really nice, Tim, that you have your moon in Taurus, because the moon is exalted in Taurus. So the moon loves to be in Taurus. It's that most second favorite place for the moon to be. And your double air, being an Aquarius sun, Libra rising, those are two air signs with an earth moon. So I think that's a really cool mix. You've got gifts of communication, being naturally very smart and wanting to learn and share information, but also got that beautiful, grounded, sturdy, stable moon in Taurus to keep you centered.
I love it. And yeah, totally agree with you. And I think also one of the reason why Aquarius sun is at, I can never remember if it's at fall or detriment, but it's at a weak position. Let's just say that. Is because when the sun is in its home sign of Leo, it really expresses their identity. And
Mm,
when it's in the opposing sign of Aquarius, it's so focused on the friends, the community. So they really want to be part of a community and have other people lift them up and understand them. So sometimes it's harder to really define who you are outside of those people, outside of this community, outside of this sense of really wanting to belong to a community or a friend group, a social group. So sometimes you have to really make sure that you have a well balanced sense of identity outside of what people think about you. So that's usually what is tricky about being an Aquarius sun. But I do agree with you that it holds a lot of futuristic visions. And I had the chance to have an Aquarius sun mentor for a lot of years while I was in the dance scene. And she was like you said, like maybe 100 years ahead of everybody. She was very humanitarian. I learned a lot from her. So yeah, love it, Tim. Thank you so much.
Wow.
And before we take a few other examples, I just wanted to, of course, mention that if you'd like to know more about your own trilogy and your own birth chart, you can, of course, book a one-on-one consultation on maisonjupiter.com with Meg. So if you want to look at your natal placements, that holds so much wisdom. And I think it's like such an important step to really take at some point in our lives to really make sure that we understand what we're made of. So that will be the birth chart astrology reading appointment, which is the 1 hour one on the right. And then if you would like also to look at your transits, so how the planets in the sky are impacting and activating your own birth chart for the year ahead. So it's always good to do that, for instance, near your birthday, but also if we're starting a new year, like we are about to do so soon. That's a really good way also to really prepare yourself for the energies of 2024, or for your solar return also. That's another possibility there. So if you'd like to book with Meg, you can use the discount code Beyond Mystic in one word to get 10% off your next reading. And if I remember correctly, Meg, you said you had some availabilities in November. Is that right?
The end of November, but today I did add a few availabilities for October. So I think there's 2 spots left for October, and then it'll be the end of November.
Okay, so make sure to grab those spots if you are interested in meeting with Meg in a one-on-one consultation, because of course we'll try to get some examples here, but it's impossible for us to get to all of the examples, and I'm sure you guys understand. So, okay, Stephanie is saying, will I ever find balance with a Scorpio rising, Aries sun, and Libra moon? I can be so intense. What do you think, Meg?
Well, Stephanie, that makes a lot of sense because my mom has the exact same trilogy as you, except in a different way. So my mom is an Aries, but her moon is in Scorpio and she has a Libra rising. And her whole life, my mom's been told she's also very intense. Some people can't handle her intensity. Why is that? Because Aries and Scorpio together, that's intense. They're both ruled by Mars.
Whoa.
They're both sister signs. So, but the Libra moon, I think, is a saving grace. I like to say that to my mom, like her Libra rising is her saving grace. And it is kind of like a balance because Libra and Aries are opposite signs. So you actually do have a balance going on in your sun, moon, and rising. And that intensity of that Aries sun and Scorpio rising is actually authenticity that some people can't handle. That's what I always tell my mom.
Wow. And you know what? Like I just realized also Aries sun and Libra moon means, Stephanie, you were born during a full moon. So it's like the epitome of being intense. The full moon is usually super let's say emotional, intense energies. It's when the moon is at its like most intense position in the sky. So you kind of hold the full moon energies within yourself, and you have to find a balance between your sun and your moon, which is what your moon is bringing with Libra, the sign of balance. So, like you said, Meg, I think I love the expression "saving grace" in your example. And she says, Meg's reading was amazing. Would have loved for the reading to last at least a few hours. Well, that's good to know. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay. And right before we find a couple more examples, I just wanted to remind all of you that we still have this promotion going on for until tomorrow. So I think 24 hours or so, with the discount code Astro15 to save 15% off the Astrology Foundations course. And with this course, you also, yes, we also have the exclusive access to the astrology community, and also the tarot and astrology workshop, which is included for free. I love the tail.
Yeah.
So cute. So there's this workshop that is included in the astrology course, and the astrology course is a big one. We really wanted to make sure it was as financially accessible as possible. So it includes a lot of hours of video. We have already pre-recorded the videos, and they are right now available if you want to start right now the Astrology Foundations course. So we have already pre-recorded the module 1, module 2, and 3. And we are just about to start the module 4, which will be live this Friday, so in 2 days from now. That's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you can't be watching the live class, don't worry, because I'm going to upload the video right after in the class, so you can watch it whenever suits you, because I know that we are all in different time zones and sometimes people work also during the day. So don't worry, it's going to be available and you can watch them over and over again. And there's also downloadable notes available in the class as well. And in the final module, we're going to put all of that together to really be able to read a birth chart. So of course, it's going to give you a lot of information about your own birth chart. But also you can look at the people around you, your partner, your children, and your family, and your closest friends, of course. So that's going to be super interesting. Did you want anything? Did you want to add anything to that, Meg? Did I forgot something about the course itself?
I think you hit it on the nail, and I'm just really, really excited to get started with it, as I'm sure everyone is who's already bought the course and started doing some of the pre-recorded videos. It's going to be so fun when we do the live classes as well.
Yeah. And another thing that I kind of find about astrology that is so cool is that we're going to teach about the theory, of course, but we're also going to give you some of our personal experiences, personal examples, but also the people around us, so some of our observations. And I think astrology at its best, I think, is about experiencing it in the real life and really noticing, oh, okay, this alignment kind of manifested that event, or this quality within myself. So I think throughout observation of the people around you and also yourself, it's like such a beautiful tool that the universe gave to us. Would you agree with that, Meg?
Totally agree.
I love it. Lakeside Laura says, so appreciative of your knowledge and guidance. Thank you, ladies. Wow, thank you so much, Lakeside Laura. Appreciate it. Okay, so a couple more examples. Okay, we have Eileen here. I was drawn to your example, Eileen. So she's a Pisces sun, Pisces rising, and Cancer moon. So all in water signs. What do you have to say to Eileen?
I would have to say, Eileen, how are you doing out there? How are you feeling in general and with the current energies? Because, wow, that's like totally being a natural empath, a natural intuitive, a natural healer. I mean, all three water signs. So that's very, very magical and spiritual and intuitive and sensitive as well. So I have a couple of friends, Eileen, that are also triple water, a few actually, and all of them actually have a hard time navigating life and getting through the day to day, because water is so emotional and empathic. But I have met a couple people that are triple water with some other counterbalancing things in their chart where it's not so intense for them with their sensitivities. So I'd be interested to hear from you, Eileen. How are you doing in the comments? I hope you're doing well and you're not feeling overwhelmed.
Lakeside Laura says, grab a life jacket, Eileen. I love it. But in all seriousness, I would say that your saving grace is probably your moon in Cancer, because I noticed that a lot of people with strong Pisces like you, Eileen, are so sensitive to other people and to the energy of the environment or the people around them, that it's really hard to have boundaries for them. So they absorb all of the emotions of the people around them, all of the energies. So the Cancer moon really asks of you to have like a sanctuary at home and to really make sure that you recharge at home or with your family or your close ones, or be alone, like we said earlier, with a water moon sign. So really make sure that you tend to your own needs and recharge, spend time alone, and be like cozy in your house to make sure that you can recharge and face the world. But this is such a beautiful psychic gift that you have, Eileen. So I hope
Yes.
you are doing well. Let us know in the chat, Eileen, if that resonates. Okay, one last one. Did you spot one that you'd like to answer, Meg?
Let's see. Oh, this one. This is a good one. Diana says, can you explain a person who is Sagittarius in all three?
Yeah.
So another triple. Do you want to speak on that, Julie?
I have met one, actually. Well, when you have, like, let's say a lot of one element, either let's say fire, water, or all in one sign, you're being a really intense person to start with. So it means like all of your energy is directed in one area of your life. And with the lady that I know who is a Sagittarius sun, moon, and rising, well, first of all, she's really drawn to spirituality. So it's the sign of belief system. So usually those people are either very spiritual or religious. So you kind of need to find a broader system of morality that's going to allow you to understand how the world works, and also to find some purpose and some answers through your philosophical questions. So Sagittarius have a really strong need for like I said, spirituality or religion. And usually they are well traveled. Sometimes they speak multiple languages. They have traveled a lot. But the darker side of, and the lady that I know who's a triple Sagittarius is kind of more on, let's say, the darker side of it. It's very preachy. So that's the dark side of Sagittarius. It's like, but it's not a bad thing in itself, because usually Sagittarius are right about what they say. It's just that they come across as being very preachy to other people, very let's say having blinders and saying this is the truth and this is the only truth, and judgmental sometimes also. So that would kind of be the pitfall of being so strong in a Sagittarius archetype. What do you think, Meg?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's really cool, actually, to be triple Sagittarius. And I'm a little bit jealous because Sagittarius is like the lucky ducky sign, as I like to call it. It's the luckiest sign. Its ruler, Jupiter, is the planet of luck and abundance. So I would bet, Diana, that you've had a very interesting life, maybe some very lucky occurrences in your life that are ongoing. But yeah, definitely, because Sagittarius rules beliefs. It can be a challenge sometimes with so much Sagittarius to be very like in your beliefs and sometimes not open, which is weird to say because Sagittarius is usually really open. But once they're in a belief that resonates with them, it's hard to show them something else that's going on.
Yeah, and I'm guilty for that. I'm a Sag moon. So when I know something, it's like, nope, I know it. Okay, Ace is saying, woohoo, just book with Meg. Thank you so much, Ace. And okay, Eileen just answers. Actually, I am doing well. Okay, good to know. Did a ton of inner work, yes, and that helped. Plus Capricorn and Venus and North Node teams the strong empathy a bit. Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, some earth signs to balance the water. And you're right, need time alone at home to regroup. So yeah, that's pretty good. And I notice also with a lot of water signs and people that have strong water, they really need to do the inner work and the healing works if they want to be able to thrive in this in this density and this 3D life. So thank you so much, Eileen. Appreciate that. Are we doing one last one before we go?
Sure. Ocean's meowing. Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's look at one last one. Hey, Ocean.
He's a Taurus. Ocean and she are Tauruses.
Oh, so he likes a lot of touch and
They love touches, cuddles. Ocean loves to go sit on the grass outside like a good Taurus boy and eat his food, loves his food. And they're so chill. They're like super chill and just want to give cuddles and love.
oh, very grounded cat. I love it.
Yes.
Okay. Let me pick another one. Thank you, Renee. She says, I love taking your classes. Thank you so much. And we did Diana. Okay. Did we do that? No, I don't think we did. Okay. Sun in Aries, Libra rising, Virgo moon. What do you think?
Well, I like that because it's all different elements. Fire sign sun with the Aries, earth sign moon with the Virgo, and then air rising. I actually really like when people have like a mix like that of the different elements in there. The sun is exalted in Aries. So Aries, like Leo, is actually a really good sun sign to be. It's a strong and positive sun sign to be. Virgo moon, I think, is really interesting. I think Virgo moon can be definitely challenging.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, El Sopa, how you feel about your Virgo moon, if you've ever read into that or heard about that before. With the moon being our inner self, and Virgo is the most critical sign and nitpicky and perfectionist sign. I think it can be definitely challenging, like what I was talking about with my moon in Capricorn, to have that position. But on the positive side, I think moon and Virgos are really good at seeing clearly the situations around them. So they can sometimes maybe be really hard on themselves and their own behaviors and things going on, but can read others and situations very well. And also being an Aries, that's like the no bullshit BS sign. So I think that's really cool because Aries and Virgo are like no BS. They don't put up with BS. So even though you have a Libra rising, which is very much about other people and wanting harmony in relationships, I think that's a strong sun and moon to have with a beautiful Libra rising.
Yeah, well said, Meg. And with for sure your sun in Aries and Libra rising, like a big part of your life will have to find this balance between what you want and how much you have to compromise to be in healthy relationship, which is Libra. So I know a couple of individuals that have sun in Aries and Libra rising, and it's kind of the story of their lives. So they want to feel like an individual, but also relationships are super important to them. So it's kind of finding that healthy balance between expressing your true identity and not compromising too much, but just enough so that the relationship works. So interesting. Let us know if that resonates. Okay, so thank you guys. That was a really good show. I had a lot of fun in analyzing all of your trilogies. Thank you, Meg. And of course, again, we have this save 15% off on the Astrology Foundations. The code Astro15 expires tomorrow, October 12 at midnight Eastern time. So if you're on a different time zone, maybe plan to use it a little bit earlier just in case. So that's going to be available on beyondmystic.academy for the Astrology Foundations course until tomorrow. And we're starting the lives on Friday. So can't wait for that. So looking forward to join all of you who are interested in knowing more about astrology and about your own birth chart, your trilogy, and a lot more secrets will be revealed during those classes online. Thank you so much, Meg. Do you have anything to add to all of the wonderful people watching?
Well, just thank you to everyone who's so awesome in our community in the comments, being so vulnerable and sharing, there's a lot of vulnerable comments lately because of things that are going on in people's lives, a lot of transformations happening. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for being open and being a part of this community together. It's really, really beautiful, and sharing your sacred astrological information, because it is very special, I think, to
It
know
is.
people's astrology. And sometimes I've even asked people what their astrology is and they don't want to tell me. And I respect that because it's their personal sacred information, you know?
Well said, well said. But I feel like we're all learning together through sharing. And
Yeah.
I'm not myself someone who really likes to talk about myself online, but I do so because I think other people can learn from it and also can resonate with our own experiences. So thank you so
Mhm.
much for also sharing your experiences, guys, in the chat, and everybody watching. And thank you, Meg, of course, for your beautiful wisdom as usual.
Thank
And
you.
see you guys soon. We will be doing the War Correspondence special show. That's going to be tomorrow at 4 p.m. on the Rumble channel of Beyond Mystic. So please join us there. And yeah, there's no Beyond the News live tonight. It's moved to tomorrow, Thursday. So we'll catch up with Janine, and hopefully she's feeling better tomorrow. So see you very soon, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Au revoir.